And Nancy, now we're talking about Seaside Imaging.
Seaside Imaging was really brought to us by Sally Grady, who is the Director of Radiology over at Celebration Health. And Celebration Health is within Celebration, the town of Celebration, which is really what Disney wanted the Epcot to be, which is the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. So Celebration was brought to Florida by the Imagineers of Disney and some other organizations, and the health center inside of it was to showcase what healthcare of tomorrow could look like. Being in imaging is a non-invasive type of medical procedure, and so you have the opportunity to think of how do we create a space that isn't in a clinical setting, in a sterile setting, because the paradigm changes a bit when you're not in an invasive space. Having these scary machines, MRI machines, CAT scan machines, and Sally believed there was a better way to do it. If we were really going to look at what does it mean to be in a healing environment, the environment plays a huge part of that. It's like it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the fact that you have this physical space that you're in to have the procedure. And many people were anxious and scared and intimidated by these large machines. And she said, let's take the concept of what we have learned and believed to be true in hospitality. We go to spaces that make us feel good by virtue of what do they look like, what do we smell, what do we hear, how are we, what is the experience as we go through the procedure, what is the protocol. Let's look at that through a hospitality lens and combine it with the best of the medical equipment, and out of that came Seaside Imaging. And what Seaside Imaging is for patients that need to have magnetic resonance imaging or CAT scans or other procedures, nuclear medicine and other areas, mammography, where you go through the procedure, but you're going through it in a very comfortable manner. Furniture, we changed the furniture so that it didn't look clinical. We changed the flooring, we changed the colors, we added, you hear birds and waves. We concepted Buddy the Beach Bear, who jumps on the lifeguard stand and welcomes the kids. Instead of wearing those cold, sterile, little tiny cloths that you put on for medical procedures, we had warm terry cloth robes. And the whole experience resulted in patients that said, wow, this is really different. So the two things that Sally put together were the concept of hospitality, which is warm, welcoming, comfortable, service, experience-focused, and medicine. In imaging, it's equipment, it's technology, it's physicians. And by putting medicine together with hospitality, she created a paradigm shift, which created an environment where everybody won. The physicians win because they have more people ask to go to Seaside Imaging. The referring physicians win because they give their patients and families an option that is not as scary. The outcomes are better because there is less sedation. When there's less sedation, then the costs go down. When the costs go down, the business model wins. The less cancellation, less sedation, less scare and fear factor, more successful procedures, the reputation increases, and ultimately the brand is strengthened. So we thank Sally Grady for teaching us by putting two things together that already exist and are great, that you can have a winning brand combination.